If you're trapped in self-doubt, this video is for you. If you're constantly questioning yourself, if you find that you have to ask like 50 people before you make any decision, if you're trapped in indecision yourself, then what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to bring into light how self-doubt is actually serving you. Once you become aware of how it's serving you, I'm going to teach you how to break free from it for good. My name is David Haas, and this channel is about personal growth meeting implementation. So if you have the time and you want to actually do the work, because knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. So this YouTube channel is about going beyond the entertainment. So if you're ready to go beyond the entertainment and actually break free from self-doubt, which has been this huge limitation for you, then keep watching and let's get to work. We want to break free from self-doubt. But the first thing we have to recognize about breaking free from self-doubt is why self-doubt showed up in the first place. And it showed up because we have this thing called the ego, which is essentially just our mind. It's that little voice in your head. And so the ego has one function. It's to make sure that we stay alive. So anytime we experience physical pain, the ego goes to work to make sure we never re-experience that. That's the hot stove. If you touch the hot stove, you know never to touch a hot stove again. But the ego is also protecting us from emotional pain. So when we experience some sort of deep emotional pain, the ego goes to work to make sure that we never re-experience that pain again. And so this is where self-doubt showed up. Self-doubt is a mechanism for you to not re-experience pain. And it's giving you some sort of payoff. We're getting something from all of our limiting behaviors, because if we weren't getting something from them, we wouldn't be trapped in them. So what would you be getting from self-doubt? Well, let's look at a couple of examples. If you're constantly doubting every decision you make, then what do? You stand still, you do nothing. So self-doubt may protect you from the pain of making the wrong decision or from the fear of failure. So when we doubt ourselves, we stay stuck. And when we stay stuck, we don't have to expose ourselves to that pain. A great quote about that is like, ships are safest in the harbor, but that's not what ships were meant for. Or no good sailors are made in calm seas. So when we begin to recognize what the payoff is, what we do is we tune our awareness into that payoff. Another example would be like the constantly asking other people for opinions before you make any decision. Like you might ask like 50 people what you should do. It could be something as simple as like buying a car. What car should I buy? You ask like all of your closest friends and families. What would you get from being in that cycle of constantly asking other people? When I tuned into it, it was like, you're getting connection, you're getting support, you're getting to feel like you're important. And so anytime we're seeking to get something out there, it means that we don't have it from within. And so if we're looking to feel supported by asking all these people for help, then we don't feel like we're supported from within. And we've probably experienced the feeling of not having support in our lives at some other point. And we're going to move into that into step 2. So in step 1, all I want you to do is I want you to begin, get out a pen and paper, pause this video if you have to, and I want you to write out what it is that you're getting from remaining in self-doubt. And it may be good to look at the thing that you're doubting most. Like, what's the example? Here's an example. It's like, maybe you have a decision to go take a new job and you're constantly doubting. You're asking everybody. Well, ask yourself, what am I getting by not making this decision? And if you can identify the payoff, then that's going to help us move into step 2, which is the power of awareness. Now that you've identified the payoff, that identification of the payoff is power in itself, because now what we've done is we've kind of like red card the behavior, which is the constantly questioning or the being trapped in indecision. And what I mean by red car is, if I asked you to tell me how many red cars you saw on the road today, you wouldn't be able to answer. But if I said, when you go to work tomorrow, I want you to watch every red car, you would see all of the red cars. So it's not that the red cars weren't there, it's just that you hadn't tuned your consciousness into red cars. So what we're doing by walking through these steps is we're tuning your consciousness into the behavior, and we're tuning your consciousness into the payoff of the behavior. So what does that look like? You're thinking, let's keep you on the job example. You're thinking about taking that job. You catch yourself in this constant questioning, what should I do, right? What are you getting from remaining in that? You're getting to just not make any decisions. You're getting to avoid making the wrong decision, right? And so what you're doing here with this awareness is you are catching the red car, which is the behavior and the payoff of the behavior, right? And then the second step is, in step 2, is we want to move towards what is the mechanism of self-doubt protecting us from feeling, right? So we want to start connecting it to the pain that it is helping us avoid. So I've already kind of laid some of these out. If you don't make any decisions, you feel safe, right? So indecision is a mechanism created by the ego or the mind to protect you from not feeling safe. So you can connect it to that pain. You can also identify where you felt the pain of not being safe in your past, in your life. If you're constantly asking other people for opinions, then maybe you're getting the feeling of being supported or important or connected. That means that you don't have that from within, right? So you're avoiding the pain of not being loved, not being supported, not feeling like you're important or good enough, right? And so what we want to do in step 2 is we want to identify what self-doubt is protecting us from feeling. So what I want you to do is pause the video again, and I want you to write out, what am I avoiding by remaining in indecision? What am I looking to get by constantly asking other people's opinions? And whatever it is that you're trying to get, the opposite is what you are missing. And then I want you to connect it to where that kind of began in your life. When's the first time you can remember experiencing the extreme pain of failing, or the extreme pain of making, picking the wrong partner that cheated on you? When's the first time you can remember really experiencing the pain of making the wrong decision? So take a second, pause the video, and write out what it is that your self-doubt is helping you avoid feelings. Okay, finally in step 3, this is where we're going to wrap this whole entire thing up, and we're going to move towards getting you free of self-doubt for good. And we're going to do this with this little acronym that I created, which is CCRR, which stands for catch, connect, recontextualize, and release. And you've kind of already done the catch and connect. We begin to tune our awareness into the mechanism of self-doubt. So whatever yours is, it could be just constantly questioning everything that you're doing, or watching your mind think over and over, or play scenario out over and over again, or it might be in asking for other people's help. That is the mechanism of protection. So we're going to begin noticing it. That's the catch. The connect is to connect it to the payoff that we're receiving, and also the pain that we are avoiding, right? And so now when you catch self-doubt showing up, you can say, oh, I see what you're doing here. You're just trying to make me not experience the pain of failure, right? So we're going to connect it to the emotional pain that we're avoiding. The third step is recontextualize, right? And so in recontextualization, we catch indecision showing up. We say, whoa, I got you. What are you trying to avoid me feeling? Oh, I'm trying to avoid feeling the pain of failure. Okay. The recontextualization is, can you handle failure? Yeah, I can handle the pain of failure. I'm okay if I fail. If I take this job and it turns out to be a terrible job, I can always go back to my old job, or I'll find another job. That's the recontextualization, right? These 3 steps on their own is enough to break you free from self-doubt, right? But if you walk through these 3 steps and the mechanism of questioning yourself or asking other people's opinions continues to show up, that's when we have to move into the release. And the release is essentially the letting go process. The release is connecting to that pain that self-doubt is helping us avoid feeling, and allowing ourselves to feel that pain fully. We want to remain in it without trying to change it. We stay in these limiting behaviors because we are resisting feeling some sort of pain. And I always give the example of the guy that's fearful of heights, right? So someone that's fearful of heights, their mind will be endlessly consumed by making sure they're avoiding high situations. They won't get on planes, they won't go on balconies, they won't go hiking. They just are constantly making sure that they never have to experience the fear that they experience when they're in a high up situation. If they walk through this process, they can start realizing, oh, like, look at how much I'm thinking about not going in an elevator, right? Look at how much I'm thinking about not going in a plane. This is all protecting me, connecting it. This is all protecting me from the fear I would experience if I was on a balcony. The recontextualization is, can I handle it, right? And then this is where the person would say, I am willing to begin experiencing that pain. And so then the last step would be for them to stand up on a balcony and allow themselves to stay in the feeling, to breathe through it. And it's going to feel like tightness in the chest, pit in the stomach, shaky knees, elevated heart rate, shortness of the breath. But if they stay there long enough without trying to change or alter the behavior or rationalize their way out of it, eventually that emotion is going to burn out. It's going to run its course. And when they are okay in that fear, then the mechanism that the mind created to protect them from it goes away. And this is how we transcend self-doubt, right? And so I can give you my own example on this is like, I do a bunch of jujitsu. And when I started doing jujitsu, I was extremely claustrophobic because when I was a kid, I had these welding tanks fall on me. I got trapped underneath them. From there, I developed claustrophobia, right? Which was a mechanism to protect me from the fear and the pain I experienced by being trapped. And so in jujitsu, if someone gets on top of you, I immediately would go into that panic claustrophobia. Over time, I would just allow myself to be in it, even though I was out of breath and all of this stuff. And eventually, the claustrophobia went away because I had the courage to be in the pain. This is how we transcend the things that are limiting us most. We catch it, we begin noticing it, we connect it to the pain and the payoff. We recontextualize it, which is really a move towards courage to become free of it for good. And then finally, we have the courage to sit in the pain so that that pain no longer limits us from living our best life. If this video served you in any way, if you got any value whatsoever, I really appreciate it. Subscribe because I'm going to release all kinds of material like this. I got a new course coming out as well about how to maximize your potential and understand what's really going on and like why you really are the way you are. So if you got any value whatsoever, I'd appreciate a subscribe and also to share it with a friend if you know someone that is also suffering from self-doubt. Thanks for taking the time to watch.